Yo, what's going on, guys? It's David Osborne, and today we're going to be diving into how to save your first $10,000. If you're new here to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you get updated whenever I drop a new video. We're talking about financial freedom, financial security, and debt freedom on this channel. So without further ado, we're going to dive into the topic, saving your first $10,000. So the reason why I'm teaching how to save $10,000 is because I really believe that's kind of the first level of freedom. Really, you should know how to save $1,000. And if you haven't done that, don't worry. This video will kind of teach you how to save $1,000 too. The same principles apply. The reason why I believe $10,000 is the first level of freedom is because it's the amount that I would say you need in order to make a life-changing decision. Now, what I mean by that is if you save $1,000, yeah, you could make the life-changing decision to go from an iPhone 10 to an iPhone 11. But with $10,000, you can change the kind of car you drive, change where you're living as far as apartments or houses goes, change your career, or change your country. For example, when I saved my first $10,000, I moved to Australia with that money and I changed my career. When I saved my second $10,000, I opened up my first business in Medellin, Colombia. So $10,000 is a life-changing number. Now, you could do some of these things with far less, but I think you do them really well when you've got $10,000. So I'm going to break down the 3 steps that I take to save $10,000 repeatedly. I'm also going to give 2 bonus tips at the end of the video, so do stick around for those. All right, number 1, let's get this one right out of the way. This one's gonna seem obvious, but I have to say it because it is by far one of the most important things that I do in order to save $10,000, and that is write it down. Now, I make a whole video about SMART goals, and I'll put a little link to it somewhere up here. Now, you need to pause this video, find a piece of paper and pencil, and come right back. Write down on that piece of paper, I'm going to save $10,000 by X date. Now, if you watch the video about SMART goals, you'll understand how to make it realistic, how to make it time bound, and all of that good stuff to make sure it's a good goal. But you got to write it down, because even if you're not into the whole pie in the sky thing, hippy dippy, like, oh, it's the law of attraction. If you're not into that, the truth of the matter is research has shown time and time again that if you do write your goals down, you're that much more likely to achieve them. And it's worked for me up until this point. Of course, I haven't achieved every one of my goals, but I do have a much higher success rate when I do write things down. And it's one thing if you write it down in a notebook, that's great, but even better if you write it down on a piece of paper and put that piece of paper up on the wall. That's typically what I do. Number 2 is to gamify saving. What I mean by that is have fun with it. When I was living in America and I was bartending, every time I would get paid and I had cash in my pocket, I would drive by the bank and just go ahead and put it right into the ATM and get the little receipt afterwards. I know it's a waste of paper, but I love to see my new score is what I looked at it as. Like, you just went from 3,500 to 3,750. And I'm just like, ooh, I'm rolling up on you 4,000. So I looked at it as a game. And something else that I did is, I think it was from some book about like giving yourself rewards that encourage certain habits. And I still do it to this day. It's been like 6 years, 7 years since I first moved abroad. But this is my savings goal for, 2020, by November 2020. And I've actually passed it already, which was to save $15,000 from December 2019 until November 2020, so less than a year. My goal was to save $15K, and I've already beat it. And I actually haven't colored in all of the spots here, and I'll like zoom in here for you guys. How I would say this is gamified is each level, there's like a little reward in it for me. You know, in games, when you level up, you usually get a new secret move, you get new options for weapons, you get new this, new that. So just a couple examples of like rewards was like, okay, hit $5,000, go to a nice dinner. It doesn't have to be super expensive like rewards. You don't want to get up a level and then knock yourself back down. Another example here was get to $3,000, get yourself a new pair of pants. And I'm into clothes and stuff, so that was cool. Another reward was get to $8,000 and give yourself a trip to the United States, which would have cost around like $500. So it's important not to let your rewards knock you too far back off of your goal though. So I usually try and keep them around $50 or $100 or keep them useful to why am I saving $10,000? So when I was saving $10,000 to move to Australia, some of my goals were regarding Australia. So when I got to $5,000, go ahead and submit the paperwork for your visa, which costs about $300 or $400 at the time. Go ahead and buy a new backpack for when you're backpacking around Southeast Asia. Give yourself rewards that are relevant to your overall goal. Anyways, that's gamifying your savings, and it's going to keep you motivated throughout. I mean, it is fun to watch, level up, but you can also give yourself little rewards, and you can decide whether it's every 500, every 1,000, or every, let's say 1,000, 5,000, 7,500, 10,000. You could do it that way as well. Okay, so number 3, and all of these are super important pieces of advice. I'm almost tempted to put this one as number 1, but it's super important that you know how much you spend every day. So I know when I'm in the United States, I spend about $25 a day on my daily expenses. So I'm talking breakfast, lunch, dinner. I like to drink a lot of coffee. And I use gas to get into work. Know how much you spend on the day-to-day. If you have a cash job, like a bartender or server, or you're a nanny or something like that, what you want to do is at the end of the day, let's say you come home with $127 in your pocket. Well, I spend $25 a day, so I'm going to take that out for tomorrow, and the $102 is going to go in an envelope, and it's going directly into my savings account the next time I go by my bank. This is my savings. And then this one envelope is my rent. And so every day I come home and I put my money into this savings envelope. And these are Taiwanese dollars, but as you can see there's a lot, and these are 1,000 Taiwanese dollars, which equals 33 US dollars, something like that. I do this when I'm bartending in America. I do this when I'm bartending in Australia. It's really important to keep it separate from your bills. And I even, at the end of the day, I don't have money in my pocket right now, it's the morning, but I've got $300, which is 10 US dollars, which is how much I'm gonna spend today on my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And this is just, 6 weeks maybe of cash, and it's a little over almost $2,000, so I'm well on my way to the next 10K savings. But that's a little side note. The majority of people that I find, even people that I work with out here who make the same amount of money as me or more than me, don't save as much as me. One of the reasons I believe is they don't know how much they're spending. So it's important for you to figure that number out. A lot of you guys that are watching this video aren't working in cash jobs. You're getting paid monthly or bi-weekly via check or direct deposit. But the same principle applies. Figure out how much you spend every day and multiply that by 30. So if you spend $25 between breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which would be $750, either keep it in your checking account or you can take that out in cash. I think taking it out in cash and paying for those things daily, giving yourself $25 at the start of each day, is a good strategy. And then you also have to take into account your student loans, your rent, your insurance, all that stuff, and keep that also in your checking account. And whatever else you have, let's say you've got an extra $500 or $800 from your next check, you keep that into a separate savings account. So as I promised you, I just wanted to give you these 3 tips to help you save $10,000. And so far we've covered write it down, gamify it, and make it fun. And number 3 is to know how much you spend every day and take that out of your cash or take that out of your checks and make sure that you're only spending that much a day and that you leave the rest in savings. These bonus tips are something that has accelerated my ability to save $10,000. The first one is when you do get a windfall of money, which means money that isn't a part of your normal check or whatever. So that could be a tax refund, that could be a COVID-19 check, it's your birthday, whatever it is. When I get those big windfalls of money, I don't change anything. So when I got the $1,200 COVID-19 check, for example, I maybe gave myself $100 to go out and have a nice dinner, get a new pair of shoes. Vans are $50. But I gave myself $100, and the other $1,100 I used to accelerate myself in this. That gets you to your goals instead of in a year, which I had said. It got me to that in about 9 or 10 months because that little boost. A lot of people will just go ahead and spend it. Well, I worked hard, or, it's free money, so I'm just going to go ahead and spend it. You don't want to do that. Use that as a boost to your savings goal, and you're going to get there. Instead of 9 months, it's going to be 6 months. Another tip is keep your money separate. And I talk about this in some of my other videos, but when you get paid cash or when you get your direct deposit, you immediately want to start to separate that money so that it doesn't all get intertangled and you're taking $25 out of your savings account every day. I don't know. I think it's important to keep it separate so that you can really see how much you're saving. So I hope you got a lot out of this video, and there's been some practical advice for you in saving $10,000. Let me know down in the comments how you're coming along on your goals. I'll see you guys in the next video. Deuces.